Hello, welcome to the 8th module of the course in Applied Linguistics of the UGC program called E-Pathshala in Linguistics. This module is called CALL or CALL or Computer Assisted Language Learning. In the last module, you must have seen how a small bit of technology can revolutionize the whole field of language learning or second language acquisition. I mean, the moment magnetic tape and the language lab comes into place, there are a series of advantages that follow. If you have a classroom teacher and the classroom teacher tells you something, there is no way you can go back to it. You can go back to your notes, which is not the same thing. But on the magnetic tape, you could listen to that piece or that sentence or to that paragraph 100 times if you wanted, and it would stay the same. So there were advantages associated with technology. In modern times, in the sort of later part of the 20th century, there was a major breakthrough in technology with the advent of computers and mainframes, and finally in modern times you notice that a simple thing like a mobile phone is good enough to do almost anything in the world, anywhere. So the technology has moved from a simple invention like the magnetic tape or a phonogram to something that you can do all your analysis on a simple laptop like this. You have a laptop and you can do, this is your language lab also. This is your phonetic analysis lab also. So you can do everything on a simple laptop or even on a mobile with a broad screen. And there are hundreds of other things, iPads and tabs, and there's no end to what technology has done. So there is, it is when we say computer assisted language learning and what are its implications for language learning, we are talking of the interface between man and machine. That there is this interface which has brought about a revolution in the world of language learning. And computer-based instruction is presented by means of primarily through computers, and the beginnings, the beginnings part you see on your screen. This has been put on your screen for your advantage, and you will see that the beginnings of the modern kinds of the computer revolution into language, this man-machine interface revolution in the world of language, took place at the University of Stanford University in California, and the international, the famous IBM, which is International Business Machine Corporation. They sort of collaborated, and more you find that departments of linguistics, departments of cognitive science, departments of psychology, and departments of computer science are working with each other to do new things by the day, every day. Now, an association between computer scientists who are working towards artificial intelligence and linguists are trying to map the human mind in terms of language acquisition. It's hard work. There's a lot of hard work involved in all this, but that's what they are trying to do. And there has been some success, but a lot of work has gone into this collaboration between computer scientists and linguists in different domains of language and language teaching. So the first thing that happened there was called CAI, not CIA, but CAI, that is Computer Assisted Instruction. That's how it started, and there was a linear presentation of information. See, that's what computers can do easily. So one cut, and then put them together. They can do that very easily, and that's how it started. You know, things had to be arranged in a logical manner. They could be presented one by one, and you know, you could do a lot of drills. Um, the machine could be multiplied very easily, and you know, you could, so many students could do practice. This was followed by what was called Plato System, and Plato System is programmed logic for automatic teaching operations. This was the system which is on your screen. Another early CAI kind of system initiated at the University of Illinois and for higher learning. And mainframe computer could have 100 terminals, so you could have 1000 terminals. So you could have a big computer, and you could have, the mainframe computer would fit into a big hall. You know, that is what a mainframe computer was at that time, which is now sort of changed into a small laptop. You know, it could be attached to 1000 terminals, so 1000 students could see the same thing at the same time. And by 1985, over 100 Plato systems were operating across United States. So you can imagine, you know, that the email system also was first introduced through Plato. Today, you know, everybody is on the email. So you prepare one lesson, you just finish one lesson with the click of a mouse, it is all over the world. Anybody can access it, anybody can see it, anybody can learn anything from it. So technology has really brought about a major revolution. The sort of cheaper and more powerful, what is called a PC, a personal computer, happened in the 1980s, and that dramatically increased the use of CAI, that is computer assisted instruction. So by 1980, only 5–6% of the schools had, you know, computers or CAI kind of stuff or Plato kind of stuff. But by the end of the decade, that means within 10 years, all the schools, that means by 1990, all the schools in the United States were fully equipped with all kinds of computers and all kinds of technology assistance. And this was a major breakthrough for language teaching. On your screen, again, you can see that what technology did across the boundaries. With the email happening, and you know, every time you look for a website, you type www. So that is World Wide Web. Now, I think that's the most dramatic thing that could happen to us, that you have something called the World Wide Web, and you can access anything happening anywhere in the world sitting on your table on a small laptop. And you could store huge amounts of information. Now you get a small Kindle, and you can store 5,000 books on that Kindle, and they're always there. Okay, just on a small sort of you know, tablet kind of thing. The countries like India started thinking of, you know, following that tradition and you know, getting into that kind of technology, which will help them to bring technology into education and into language teaching. So the government of India set up the national program on technologically enhanced learning as a part of its effort. And we hear of GSAT-3, and which is now known as EduSat. And EduSat is there now in every district, perhaps in every block. You can upload a program and disseminate it, for example, from the NCRT in Delhi, or from IGNOU in Delhi. I know that you can, or from IIT Chennai, you can stand in an auditorium, have a workshop, and that workshop can be transmitted throughout the country, and you can have a two-way This is the interesting part. You can have a two-way audio video feedback system. So people can ask you questions and you can answer their questions on the on this two-way kind of dialogue through technology. Now, call of course heavily draws from other related fields such as educational psychology, artificial intelligence, computational linguistics, instructional design, machine learning, cognitive science, and second language acquisition research. What are the advantages? I tried to mention some of them. Main advantages of a language teaching method like CALL, computer assisted language learning. It has various manifestations. Have very different names, but the main advantage I think is learning efficiency. The efficiency is enhanced. The time gap is reduced. It can be very effective in at least, for example, I want to share a story with 500 students, who are in touch with me. So it will take me half an hour to give them time to read that story, and then we can begin a dialogue, and we can be connected on Skype, for example, and we can all talk, and we can now on talk on Facebook. I mean, there are hundreds and thousands of ways. Talk on Viber. I mean, there's no limit on which you can talk. The most important thing that has happened with technology is that it has empowered people through access. This, I think, to my mind, is the most important contribution that technology has made. This kind of technology, not the technology that makes nuclear bombs, but this kind of technology has made to mankind, is that languages were disappearing, languages were dying. Dominant languages were eliminating smaller languages, tribal languages. But this technology has empowered those people so much that if I want to listen to a Bhojpuri or a Bundeli song, I just have to log on to the computer and I can listen to the songs, listen to their plays, listen to their short stories. So all those things are being preserved because of the assistance coming from technology. And I think this is phenomenal. This thing is really phenomenal, and we need to make as much use of it as possible, so that technology has made access to authentic data possible. And this is very important for language learning. Another thing is, you don't need to buy a textbook, you don't need very often need a teacher, you may not need a classroom. That means it's very convenient. It has, because of all these reasons, it has enhanced the motivation of many people. And there are sort of, various other advantages. All those advantages, I can phone somebody, I can call somebody on the Viber and check the pronunciation of something, or check the accuracy of something, find a translation, a new word in the translation. I do all kinds of things with technology. The other thing that has happened is that it is technology that has made it possible for second language practices to be consistent with research in second language acquisition. I think that's a very important aspect. We have been saying, if you remember in the earlier modules, that language teaching must be discourse based. We should have a holistic approach to language teaching, and that we should have audio-visual materials, or what is known as language from the material world, language from the outside world. We should have that kind of language brought into the classroom. So authentic language should be brought into the classroom, and it should look like it has made a virtual classroom possible, and individuals can have their own data, their own authentic text, and can discuss it online or offline with the teacher. Still, in spite of all these great advantages, I think there are some serious limitations. We have been trying technology in language teaching. I think there are serious limitations, and all these limitations are on the screen. in front of you. You can see them, and I'll just read them out for you and maybe explain them if need be. Uh, the first issue is that all this equipment, even a good mobile might cost you 30,000, 35,000. If you want good functions with it, if you want readability, if you want good pictures, if you want good animation, then it's very expensive. To set up a laptop is very expensive. So if you really want good technology, it costs you a lot of money. To set up a language lab might cost you millions of dollars. It's not cheap. It doesn't come cheap. And then I explained to you the disadvantages of the language lab. I think what is most significant is that what can happen in face-to-face contact, what can happen in peer group interaction, and what can happen with the teacher can never ever happen with technology. That kind of learning, that clarity of learning, that intensity of learning doesn't happen with technology. That happens with individuals. There is a substantial loss of creativity and a substantial loss of imagination because of that kind of human contact, because that kind of human contact is lost. You see, how do you get new software? Better the software, more expensive it is. Where do you find it? And it is criminal to steal that software. People copy that software, use it, and there are all kinds of problems, all kinds of copyright problems associated with it. But I think the most serious disadvantage of technology has been that machines tend to produce a template, and that template picks up some currency, and everybody wants to fit into that template whenever he or she gets a chance. This is dangerous because then new kinds of things are not happening. New kinds of poems are not being written. New kinds of stories will not get written because cut and paste has become a standard methodology for all kinds of knowledge creation, where zero knowledge is created. And it's criminal to do that kind of a thing. But I think technology encourages that, not that it intentionally encourages that, but human beings are made that way, and technology makes it possible. So, to conclude this module, one can say that if technology is used carefully, and if technology is used realizing its limitations, then it can really be put to great use and could be of great benefit to mankind and to language learning. Thank you.